Hi, Paul Gorney from Luxury Living in Chicago. Living in Chicago has its pros, its cons. We're going to get into that today. Have you thought about the weather? It's brutal at times. It's crowded. The public transportation is good, but it has its issues. The politics are pretty insane sometimes. The taxes, the beauty of the summer. I mean, there's so many things to go over with Chicago that you really should be aware of. So, born and raised, lived here all my life. One of the top realtors here for 30 years. So I can get into all these things, like some nitty gritty of both the pros and cons. So Chicago is one of the largest cities in the country. Oh, let me mention: text, call, email. You have any questions at all? Nothing too small. People reach out all the time with questions and can help you with condos, single families, multi-unit, whatever it is. We can figure it out. Just reach out anytime. Happy to help. So Chicago, one of the largest cities in the country. One of the biggest pros of Chicago is the weather in the summer and the things to do. I think everyone would want to live here if it was this way all the time. I've had people come here from other countries. I just had a client come in from the East Coast, and they're just so happy during the summer. The winter can be a different story, but the summer, you have boats out on the lake, boats docked close to, with a downtown view, Oak Street Beach, where you have just a skyline view while you swim in the water. It's just a historic beach. I mean, there's a lot of amazing things. The thing with Chicago, though, is it's big. It's fairly clean, but, it's a big city, so it's a little bit dirty at times, especially in the winter. The politics stink, for the most part. People are kind of ticked off right now with the way a lot of things are being handled. The property taxes go up, pretty regularly and pretty high. There's a lot of issues that have gone on with the schools. People are taxed very high for the schools, even though a lot of people will send their kids to private schools if they choose. So these are some things, that really need to be thought about and looked into. The value of the properties in Chicago, this is pretty wild, but after 2008, 2009, the values hold really steady in some of the neighborhoods. Like Lincoln Park is close to downtown. Very popular, very highly ranked area as far as the neighborhoods of Chicago go by niche.com. So lots of beauty, historic homes up to 5, 10, 15, $20 million. These values stay pretty steady, in Chicago for the most part, even after the downturn. However, some of the other areas, when you get away from the lake, got hammered a bit. I mean, they went down, they weren't as stable. So you really need to be aware of where you're buying, historically what the property values are. Some things are kind of shiny objects in a hot market, and when the market pulls back and the neighborhood's maybe not as solid as you would have thought. So other things to consider in Chicago are things to do: museums, restaurants, things for kids, parks. There's a heck of a lot to do. Again, a lot more in the summer than the winter. But in the winter, there are some great things to do as well. So being from Chicago, born and raised here, working downtown in high school, college, going to college here, the whole deal, living in the suburbs, living in the city, I've experienced a lot, and helping, a couple thousand people just on my own, not with, people on my team or anything, just myself, move, including some of our professional athletes, our CEOs, our owners of sports teams, high profile people in the city, as well as a gazillion first time buyers and just regular, people who aren't in the public eye. I mean, I've seen it all. So not at all, but a lot. So Chicago's Gold Coast is close to downtown, a little bit closer than Lincoln Park. Just recently, I had someone looking at a very expensive home there, and I got a message from them, and they said, Chicago scares the blank out of me. And they said, I know it will change, but it is a mess. Come on, man. They're not doing anything right now. That's a typical response, well, from someone very astute business person, very well known, lots of dollar signs in the house he was looking to buy, and he's holding off right now. High-rise condos, once a beautiful thing in Chicago, really took a hit. So they're coming back, especially the mid-range ones, like 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms from like 600 to a million. Those are coming back slowly, making some inroads. Hopefully this year will be a nice uptick. But the ones for 1.3, 1.5, $2 million and up really have really gotten nailed pretty like hard. I mean, they really went down. Market times are lower. They just converted the historic Tribune Tower from the Chicago Tribune into condos. Some of the highest net worth people in the Midwest buying units in there. People that run companies, and multiple units just boom went right back on the market once they closed, because the lead time was so long. It was a couple years, so they were waiting. A lot of things happened, and they aren't as excited about Chicago. They sold the unit, but the good thing is the unit's sold. People are buying them. So there's a little bit of a give and take there. Just things to keep in mind. Another big pro of Chicago, something people really spend a lot of time tackling and figuring out, are all the neighborhoods. I mean, every mile or two, there's a little segment of the city carved out that it's a different neighborhood. You have Lincoln Park, you have Gold Coast, you have Logan Square, you have Bucktown, and all these neighborhoods have, a different flavor, different things to offer, from parks to schools to restaurants to just the feel of the neighborhood, how the neighborhood works. Do people hang out? Are there block parties? What are the demographics? Are there dog parks? There's so much to know. And then what people don't all go downtown like they used to work right now, but it's still a factor. Public transportation, pretty good biking in the city. So there's a lot of things to consider in these different neighborhoods. The kind of the flip side of the neighborhoods is it's kind of confusing, and people sometimes a little bit, which I help with quite a bit, but people get a little too into the neighborhood sometimes, like there's some kind of wall or something between neighborhoods, and it's all one area of the city, really. I mean, it doesn't just necessarily completely stop at the border of each neighborhood. Some of the neighborhoods you could practically combine, to be, especially like Wrigleyville is part of Lakeview. Lakeview's a bigger area. Wrigleyville is just a little section of it around the ballpark. It's basically it's Lakeview, but it's a subsection called Wrigleyville. So all these nuances can get a little confusing. Chicago overall is just an absolutely great city with great biking, great concerts in the summer, great things to do. The housing, I will say that there's a big problem right now in some neighborhoods with a very bad word, don't really like to say it, but rats. Just had a client have a problem in their building, and I'm actually getting them out of there, kind of rolling up my sleeves, getting that thing, we're taking care of it, I'll just put it that way, and I'm getting them out of there. What I've been told, I don't even know if it's true, I haven't looked into it, but what I've been told is that the mayor canceled a program that a department, or part of a department, that keeps control of the rats in the city. And there's been a huge problem since she stopped putting money into this program. And I've heard quite a bit about it, recently. And it's a pretty disgusting problem, and it's really bad. So looking into, newer buildings that are better taken care of, have preventative measures, are good things to do. Other thing in Chicago is you got to pay attention to the building you're moving into, just the construction of it, because between like 94 and 2004, there's a ton of building that went on, and they use this kind of crummy block on the outside of it, kind of acts as a sponge, and it has to be sealed all the time. Other water gets in and creates moisture and can create mold, and then you got to tear out all the drywall and fix the whole thing. I mean, there's, again, it's a big city, so I'm not really sure who's making the decisions to allow that, but I think money had a lot to do with it. A lot of buildings being built. In Chicago, there are aldermen that take care of different wards. So they kind of control the little section of the city that they're in. So people will vote them in. And sometimes, people question decisions that are made, how decisions are made. Again, it's a big city. It's a little crazy sometimes. But the bottom line is, got to find a good neighborhood, or if you're down by the lake, a good high rise that's financially stable, that hasn't gone down too much, maybe has a good mix of, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms, rather than all high end. So, this is a lot of stuff. I mean, it's a lot to take in. The suburbs of Chicago, though, I will tell you, very popular. If you go north of the city on the North Shore, or if you go west to the western burbs, these are areas that have some of the highest ranked areas by niche.com to raise a family. Some of the highest ranked schools by niche too. You can park, you can get commuter trains into the city. People definitely will go to the suburbs. I have seen people drag their feet going. They're afraid. They don't want to do it. They don't want to give up on the city. But ultimately, the ones that do are pretty darn happy, and many of them say, I wish I had done it sooner, because it's just so much less stressful getting your kids in schools and not dealing with lottery systems and siblings going to different schools because they couldn't get into the same school, and testing into a high school rather than just going to the public high school in the burbs. So you can have lake access along the northern suburbs. You go out west, you have beautiful forest preserves, hiking trails, things like this. So, there's a lot of things to consider, but the suburbs of Chicago and the city of Chicago both have great options